This year was a butt kicking.
Okay,
Man.
and I know I'm not alone in this. For a lot of us, I think we're still like, whoa.
Can we go higher? Can we go higher?
This is just what I needed.
It's your dose for today.
Dr. Esther?
Dr. Paul.
Yeah, okay. So, format. We are going to discuss a question from the audience.
We get a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah.
We've gotten so many questions.
This one, though, requires a whole podcast to answer.
It does.
Okay. The question was, Esther and Paul, this year with your Instagram posts, looks like you guys went all over the world, had an amazing year. How did you get over your fears? Because it looks like you both are fearless. What do you think about that, Paul?
I am not fearless. I am definitely not fearless. If anything, you are more fearless than I am. But I think it's not about fearlessness.
Yeah, I mean, really? I think there's a little bit about that.
I mean, I think that there's so much truth to the whole thing where people say, like the whole "do it scared." I think that's real.
That's true. That is very true. That is very true. But I think in the spectrum of like when I think about my fears of how I used to be and how I am now, I feel fearless, even though there's still fear. Yeah.
But that comes with experience, right? That comes with a lifetime of having done stuff and been all over the place and faced all kinds of crazy situations, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of get to that point where you're like, I know I can do this. I can handle this, right?
But the question made me think about this year.
Like 2025?
I mean, I think what people didn't see, even though we did post it, but people forget after, it's been a couple months. This year was a beating.
This year was a butt kicking.
Okay,
man.
and I know I'm not alone in this. For a lot of us, I think we're still like, whoa, there's still a week or so left of 2025.
And I mean, we said this podcast is really for heart-led people, and 2025 has been a rough year for people with hearts.
And we're releasing this in late December on purpose, not in January this year. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, so this year we had everything planned out. In January, I thought we were going to sail, like smooth sailing. Because we had spent 6 months before, having all of our contracts. So, I mean, as backgrounds, a lot of people don't know who we are, right? We used to be humanitarian diplomats, and then one of our own. So then, we had our business was booming. Our social enterprise was booming at the end of last year.
Yeah.
I mean, booming. And we had lined
to the point
up,
where we were like, oh my gosh, we need to sit back. We need to chill. We're going to choose our clients a little more carefully.
Yeah, but we had already secured almost $500,000 in contracts. We were going to have a really great year, okay? Then all of a sudden the new administration came, and literally the third week of January, after 6 months of hustling these things, we lost it all. So
all of it.
All of it. So when we talk about fears, the fear that comes from most people is worst case scenario thinking, right? I mean, I want to talk about it on a positive note. If you're a worst case scenario thinker, it also means you're a really good systems thinker. Yeah. So what does that mean? What's a systems thinker? That means that you can connect all the dots of what is everything connected to, right? Like, that your wellness, for example, could be connected to inner harmony, inner health. That's going to make you a better parent. That's then going to make your kid better in school, like that type of thing. Like everything's like a domino effect. Someone who thinks about system knows that ripple effect that can occur across all your realms of your life or other people's lives or themes and issues, right? So that's the good side. The bad side.
I mean, a lot of the things, not to go off on a tangent, but a lot of the things that we talk about have to do with your values. You're going to hear a lot of us talking about your values.
It's our current obsession.
It's more than an obsession. It is the way.
It's the thing we wished we knew when we were 20.
It's the thing we wish we knew when we were younger.
Yeah, but guess what? Sure. If you're 20 and listening to this, you get to know it now.
You get to know it now. But it's one of the amazing things, right? Like we see a lot of people that we do these health quizzes. I'm sorry, I gave it away. We do these values quizzes with folks. And one of the things that comes up for a lot of people is health. as a value. And you realize that the health person is a systems thinker because
exactly.
your health, it's your physical health, but also your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, psychological, all of that. You are a system, right?
Yeah.
And so in order to be okay, all of those pieces you have to be aware of. And you translate that into the rest of your life, right? So that's where the systems thinking comes from.
But the downside
is
the worst case scenario thinking.
Right.
So that means that you're always thinking doom and gloom. And it doesn't help. Like, I mean, there's always other things that don't help, like the news, the constant, like, every day throwing everything that's going wrong in the world, right?
And I'm going to add to that. I don't know what you out there listening, I don't know what your family is, your heritage or whatever, but we're Latinos, and Latinos, or at least our families, are professional worst case scenario
my parents
thinkers.
are the worst. I love them. I love you if you're listening, but they're the worst. Everything that could possibly go wrong in a rabbit hole, they think of. So, back to the story. So you can imagine when we lose everything, I could hear their voice in my head.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have left that job. Viste, lo que te pasó. You know?
Los niños se van a morir de hambre.
Right.
Your kids are going to starve.
Oh
right?
my God. And basically the worst case scenario happened to us.
Yeah.
Right? Now, as a worst case scenario thinker though, you have that. We did prepay our rent for 6 months, and we prepaid a lot of things, right? So that's something I do, which is interesting. We'll talk about in another episode. But actually, safety is not a motivator for me. So if you think like, oh my God, why'd she pay her rent 6 months in advance? She must be motivated by safety. Actually, I'm not. Safety is a trauma response for me. But we did pay it. So we knew we had a roof on our head. At least that, right? But we didn't know what we were going to do. Because imagine our whole brand is everything that is against what was happening, right? So when we talk about this question, going back to the question, how do we get back our fears? Well, the truth is, the biggest fear we were confronted with, the biggest fear happens, right? When you go on your own and you're doing a movement, a social enterprise, or anything, I mean, you could be starting a beauty brand, whatever it is. The biggest fear is it's going to fail. And I say it's going to fail, not I'm going to fail, because I already moved away about I. Like, it's about it. Yeah. It failed, not I failed. Because sometimes it's about things that you can't even control. Timing, the economy, the market. Your idea might be great later. Like, I'll tell you, for example, friendship bracelets. I've been wearing that since 2019. Right?
You have.
But 2019, no one wanted anything to do with friendship bracelets. And all of a sudden, Taylor Swift comes and it's blown up, right? So when I was passing them around, not great timing. But later, total boom. So if I would have thought about a friendship bracelet market when it was a boom, would have made tons of money. But in 2019, when I'm wearing them, not a thing, right? There's a lot of things that I'm before the time, right?
It's true, you're a trailblazer.
Yeah, but too early. So it's not that it's a bad idea, right? Sometimes it's just not the timing and it doesn't match with where the movement is going. Yeah. So it failed, right? But it's still a big fear. Is it going to fail, right? And we were faced with that. And so when we think about fears, let's be real too. Was I energized in February?
I was going to say no. It was a rough time, and it's okay, right? Like I don't want people to think that we're here to promote like constant rainbows and sunshine. You know what I mean?
No, toxic positivity.
Like there are like the ups and downs of life are real, and they're going to kick you in the butt. You know what I mean?
People who are on my newsletter saw it down. So in February we hit rock bottom. I mean, I am a lot more up and down than Paul, right? So I was definitely in bed, like oh my God, the end of the world, what's going to happen to me, right? But I think it's important to
But it's also not knowing, right? It's the not knowing and then feeling like everything that you are and everything that you stand for is suddenly like like being crapped on.
Yeah. And then on top of that, everyone around you is suffering, right? So there was on top of that, everyone around me suffering. And then on top of that, like we just said, there's a whole community of worst case scenario being like, you need to find a job. You need to find a job right now. Okay. But the first thing I did...
That was a very good impression.
Exactly. So first thing we did, right? So this, and how this applies to that question is the fear. So right there, we were heavy in fear.
For sure.
Okay. Heavy in fear of the future. We were in the worst case scenario thing. So what did we do? So first thing was, one, sit in it for a little bit. You got to process it. You got to grieve. You got to grieve, process, cry, scream, run, all that, right? Okay, so once you've done that, and put a time bound on it. Because the issue is that I still see some people still grieving this. And this is not that you still won't grieve it 10 months. It's more about drowning. Let's make the differentiation. I think we're still grieving the loss of the sector, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's about drowning in it. So drown a month. I gave myself a time limit. I'm going to drown, and the most I can drown is 2 months. Okay.
Which is, it's important to say, again, that's not trivial either, right?
No.
Because, like, we're taught, especially as, like, high achievers, we're taught to be, like...
Suck it up.
Suck it up, you know, keep calm and carry on kind of a thing. And it's really frowned upon to be the person who breaks down, who's vulnerable in some way.
And you got to release it. Like,
you have to release it.
You got to get it out of your body, right? Like dancing, screaming, yelling, shaking.
Whatever it is,
Yeah,
you have to find some way to let it out. We're going to talk about breath work several times.
We're just
throughout
touching
this
on
podcast,
it. Breath work,
so.
we started to knit. Knitting used to help me in college, so I went back to knitting, right? We have a whole thing. Like, you go back to things that helped you in the past. Knitting helped me in, like, moments of crazy times.
Yeah.
I knitted a whole beautiful scarf for Bo. and the whole family started knitting and crocheting, right? So whatever you need, right? So the first thing was that. If you are deep in the worst case scenario, right? Then it was confronting the fear. So what were we scared of, right? So first is like, okay, financial security, stability. Again, safety is not a motivator for either of us, actually.
No.
But it's a trauma, right? So first we had to deal with it. Like, what is it? What is going to make us feel safe, right? What amount of money, of things, and also thinking about what is the realistic money we need to feel safe, right? So we came up with that number. And then once we came up with that number, I was like, what are things that we can do? And actually, like, what was interesting is that the one thing that we were able to do was we can train AI models. So we had like some little side gigs to be able to still like eat out, like fun play money. You still gotta have to have joy in this process.
Have to find
so
joy.
we got like some little side hustles to find some joy during February, March to counter the heaviness. But to really get past the fear, we had to write down what were all the fears, right? The fears were we weren't be able to pay rent from July to December. The other fear was that we wouldn't be able to pivot. What we're going to pivot into. Or 3, that our business would become obsolete because everyone in the world would be scared to even embark on anything that we do because of everything that's going on. And so we decided to channel the last one of maybe there are not a lot of people. And because at that time, no one was talking.
No.
Everyone was terrified. And I was like, where are these people? So we said, okay, how do we confront the last fear? So we went up in order, the last fear. The last fear was being vocal ourselves, being an example. So we got on all the news channels.
Yeah, we did a lot of interviews during that time.
A lot of news channels because we could. We were like, we already hit worst case scenario. So we got nothing to lose. So we went on all the news channels fighting this and fighting and speaking out about it. And let me tell you, that created a domino effect. Because the minute we started being out there and putting ourselves out there, then other people did. So then we were like, the light is not lost. So last fear, crossed out. Not true. That wasn't a true thought. There were tons of people who wanted to. They just didn't want to be the first one.
Yeah.
So that means that we had to be the first. Okay, cool. So crossed out. That fear, not real.
I think, by the way, that was one of the potential titles for this podcast that we thought about at some point, right? We were going to call this Being the First at some point.
Yes, Being the First. We were going to call it Your Highest Aspiration. And then I was just like, you know what? It's just what I needed. Yeah. And so we cut out that fear. Okay, and that's why it's really important to write down your fears, right? And then the next one was being obsolete.
Right.
Right? But the truth is, we weren't obsolete. We had just gone on all the media channels. Right? So look, this sprung into our next fear. We were amplified. And then on top of that, we started to see that there was actually through that amplification, we started to see that there was a bigger need actually for us. And so it was just about positioning ourselves differently. So we're like, actually, there is a need more than ever. So that's not true either. And then our first one is like, then we had to deal with the first one. How are we going to come up with money through July to December, right? Okay, that one's a harder one, right? But then we said, okay, this is when you're in the situation, right? Everything's about service, whether you're in a job, whether you are on your own, whether you're a leader, right? It's about service.
It's about service. I mean, and that's a really important mindset, especially in that moment when you're so down, because as soon as things go bad, you focus on yourself. And I tell everyone, your planning horizon gets really short in a crisis situation.
Oh, yeah, you start like...
But that's going to be, if you stay in that, that's where you're just going to sort of stay in that little toilet bowl. You know what I mean? It's not until you...
And get flushed.
And get flushed, 100%. And not in a good way, if there is a good way.
No.
But it's when you start to recognize that your value is in relation to others, and your service and your work is in relation to others, that you start to see above yourself and above your situation. And that's when that horizon becomes so much clearer. You know?
Exactly. And knowing your motivation is key, right? I mean, we'll talk about this in another one, but we have this really cool personal values, because I'm going to mention it every time, because anybody who wants it, just message me and I'll send you a free, free quiz.
It's amazing.
But it was revisiting, like, what is our motivation, right? Because to go serve, as Paul mentioned, not just to go serve, but then to go monetize from the serving, you need to know, well, one, how am I going to get out? How am I going to get re-motivated again to create this pivot? So I think we had to visit what motivated us.
Right.
And so for me, it's self-actualization. So what does that mean? It means, like, what is the change I want to make? What is this impact I want to make on people and the world, and change that hurt, right? That grief to hope.
Yeah.
And then for Paul, right, yours is growth. Growth.
Which means that
what am I going to learn?
What am I going to learn? And how am I going to sort of reach that next evolution of myself? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that when you're in that scarcity mindset and in the panic mode, you're not growing, right? You're just stuck there. Not until you really sort of come back to your values and see what's important to you are you able to make those changes.
Exactly. So we visited that. And so I said, okay, I'm motivated by the vision. So what we're like, okay, what is the immediate need? What do people need right now? People needed to re-land their jobs, right? There was like tons of people who were getting cut in these amazing service sectors, humanitarian sector, changing the world, and all these people were kind of being thrown in the garbage, right? Like losing their jobs.
Yeah.
And these people needed us. Now, we had offered like the resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, like the whole package. We were doing that pro bono for like refugees, like right, teacher, any like people in like service industries, right? That like, and I mean service in the sense of serving
the
people.
world, yeah.
And that couldn't afford it, so it was part of our pro bono of our social enterprise. But in that moment, I was like, actually, you know what? It's right in front of our faces. This is what people need right now, and they also need to process their grief. Well, we were also breathwork facilitators, so everything kind of came together. It was all these little like services that we had been doing on the side, like breathwork and workshops and pro bono work, that were like, this is our new big service, big offering. So again, then we met with our coach. Now, coaches have coaches, right? And she's
and if
amazing.
you don't have a coach, you need a coach.
And I'm going to put a shout out for her, Ilona. And she's freaking magical.
Ilona's awesome.
Magical. She told me, because, safety me, right, with my family, I had still applied for jobs, right? And also I needed to know if my process worked. How can I go help people reland if I don't know if I can reland, right? So when we had the job offer, I remember telling her, should I take the job? Or do I stay in the, do we grow, be at change? And this is part of the fear thing. I never wanted to get a job, right? But fear was talking. And then she's like, what does your gut say? And my gut, as a generator, was like, I don't want to get a job. It was the fear talking, right? And so she was like, well, then what do you need to do to stay in it, right? This goes back to like that money thing, right? What do I need to do to create the money need? Now that we kind of figured out the fear thing of, well, we have no relevance, we have nothing to offer, right? Actually, we do. We have super relevance. We have something to offer, right? All those things counteract it. But then what does it take to do that? And then I remembered the 5%. You're going to get 95% no's and 5% yeses. And I think most people don't realize that.
Yeah.
People only see like the success, but don't see what it takes to get it. Even like with actresses and singers and all that stuff, right?
And even the people that we work with, you know what I mean? People tell us, oh man, I applied for 10 jobs and I haven't heard anything
and we're
back.
like 10
jobs. I'm
it's like 500 you got to apply to.
You haven't even started yet, my friend.
Or even like PhD programs. I applied for like almost 30. Like, that I was like 5% return. If there's more, amazing, but no. So we knew we had to send 1,200 emails out. to our network, to everyone we knew, and then we packaged. And we knew, how do we make it easy for people to say yes, right? Make it easy. We'll do all the logistics. We'll just show up. And then to make it even easier, we didn't want to just do career coaching. We wanted to give them. People are in fog. So, we had to also think about the person. When you're in fog, the last thing you want is to be coached and then you have to do your own resume, cover letter, and the whole effort. You're still trying to grieve. You're where we were in February, March. So we decided we're not only going to coach you, we're going to do all your paperwork for you, but it's aligned to you. So we did that. I mean,
it was heavy. Oh my gosh, it was heavy.
How much did we work?
In case we haven't mentioned it completely. So we basically started working with humanitarian assistance workers around the world who, from one day to the next, pretty much, were left without jobs, without careers.
Or they were about to lose it.
They were about to lose it. And I mean, these are almost all of them, at least master's trained people.
Yeah.
Super
worked overseas, amazing stories.
And super heart-led people. You know what I mean? People who do this kind of work because they love it, because they want to be positive influences in the world. And these are the people that were just sort of summarily
that
cut
then
around the
also
world.
Work and volunteer on weekends and nights and
That's
stuff.
what we learned doing this process. These people who devote their professional lives to all of this, and then their off time, they're like, oh man, I could be doing more. So they're volunteering in their churches and their communities and the schools and the hospitals, all of that.
It's phenomenal.
It was. We had
it's heartbreaking and phenomenal.
Incredible. So shout out to all of those people for sure.
Yeah. So then, where did we go? We went to 15 countries, workshops, coaching. We worked, and we took my parents and the kids because this just happened. We were like, okay, let's pick up and go.
Let's go.
And that's the other thing. The other part of the fear is if it comes to you, the opportunity, you gotta just go.
You gotta go.
You can't double think it. How long is this going to last? And we even showed up in countries that we didn't even have contracts yet. Okay. That's where you have to trust and believe. So that's the other part of fear. Is this going to work? Am I going to get paid?
Yeah.
We didn't even know if we would get paid. These agencies were shutting down. But we were like, you know what? We have something to offer. We're going to trust that all these people are going to help us get paid because we're doing a service that's needed, and we're going to show up and hope for the best. Obviously not deliver the work until we have no guarantee we'll be paid. But remember, we had just been burned in January. We had signed contracts. Yeah. Didn't matter. They weren't even honored anymore. So we kind of were like, well, if anything, if we don't get paid, we did a service to the world, and we had to accept that. We even pulled out 401k to fund the trips because I don't know if you know, when you have these contracts, you don't get paid till 3 months later. Yeah. But it worked out. We trusted it. And the work was so impactful and actually made us more in alignment. It was healing for us too, hearing their stories, hearing their impact, and then showing them their power. They had lost their light. They had lost their power because imagine they had been cut at the knees, just like us. But we had it experienced in January. They were experiencing it later, in April, May, in the summer, and some of them in March. So we were just a chapter ahead of them. And plus we had transitioned already, had left and developed, had created this thing. So imagine that we would have never thought years ago when we left this job, that same job that got shut down. And then imagine I started to realize, I'm so glad I listened to my intuition of leaving that job. Yeah. Because everyone was like, you're going to have this pension. And I knew it in my gut that pension was not going to exist. I can't tell you how I knew that, but I knew it. And I knew it was the right thing to do. But I think, honestly, I look now and I'm like, it was the right thing to do because I was meant to be that lighthouse to help them with their transition. Look how crazy that was. I know. And this year was so rewarding. That year. It was this year.
That year, it feels like a decade ago, right?
But we worked 15 hours.
I mean, no, we worked like crazy. But the other thing, as you're talking, I think it's really important to say, reflecting back, it's almost too easy to say, oh, I had this gut feeling and I acted on it. You know what I mean? But that is huge, right? There's so many of us that have these gut feelings, these
And ignore
intuitions,
them.
and we ignore it, we silence it, we push
Yeah.
it down. Even though we know that's what's right for us and that's what's aligned with
Yeah.
us, and that's where we're going to have a huge effect on the world, and still we lo tragamos, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
We
know.
swallow it and we put it down.
And we think it's crazy because no one else has done it. Like, no one leaves that job. And,
Yeah.
and it's true. I couldn't really pinpoint. Like, it's not like there was something astronomically wrong about it. I just knew I had to.
Right.
And in April, when we sent all these emails out, we knew we had to do that, and we couldn't explain it, right? Like, we knew we had to help people. And it was crazy because we also had done this AI training. And so weirdly, we had accepted that last year. And weirdly, we learned everything about how recruitment works now. And that ended up helping us for this thing. So the universe, even though we felt in February that the world was against us because the worst case scenario happened,
Yeah.
actually the universe had helped us because we had learned how recruitment, we were up to date on how people get recruited,
technology
the
aspects,
technology, how resumes are screened, how resumes should be written now, like not chronological, how they get summarized, how you land and position yourself. We're pitch coaches. All these things led us to this moment this year. So that taught us a couple things. So I think let's go back to the fear question. I think what do you think? I think from it's been 12 months.
Yeah.
From January to now, I no longer have the worst case scenario thinking.
For those things.
No.
Yeah.
I think after overcoming this year, that's gone. And I realized that things are going to be like that. You can plan for everything and plan for nothing. Like, I think that's what it's taught me. I planned for everything, worked for 6 months, and at the end, no era para nada. And at the end, then the thing that we got up and did worked.
Yeah.
But that means that we can trust that what we have value, and all of you have value if you're listening, and there's always a way out in somebody who needs you. So that worst case scenario you're thinking, it's not true. And there's a way around it. Even if you hit it, there's a way out of it. And if you go back in your life, I'm sure there's so many times where you've hit worst case scenario and you've gotten out of it. So when our mind spirals about not wanting to go there again because it doesn't want to feel that pain again, sometimes it's necessary to slap you in the face. Because you know, I think I was getting really comfortable. I was really comfortable in our new arrangement and our new contracts. And
Yeah.
I was going to sail in this, but then we wouldn't have grown. We wouldn't have grown that technology. We wouldn't have realized that the people we love working with are the ones that are heart-driven. We would never have met so many incredible people, so many incredible countries, heard their incredible stories. None of that would have happened.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm still grieving everything that happened, I feel like it was the best thing that happened. So when people are like, you seem fearless, maybe that's where we are now. I don't have those fears anymore. So maybe that's why I think I answered in the beginning. I do feel fearless. Because those thoughts are not true. Yeah. So that
That's
leads
pretty
us
big.
to now. We don't have anything planned for 2026. That's why this podcast is going to be super organic. There's nothing planned. And people are like, we went to a friend's house this weekend and they were like, so what's 2026? I'm like,
I don't know.
I have no plan. And guess what I'm doing this month? It's called Restmas. We're literally resting because wait. We talked about we worked, but you didn't tell them how much we worked.
I mean, we worked for months and months. We worked 15 hours a day.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, like absolutely no break. And it was.
We had one little break.
That's true.
We took
That's true.
2 walks a day.
We took 2 walks a day.
That's something.
We were like dogs. We got walked twice a day.
Yeah. But we did do that.
But I mean, to the point where, by Thanksgiving, we were dead. We were burned out.
But the burnout didn't come from work.
No. We
That
were
is next
exhausted. We were
episode.
physically exhausted.
Yes. Next
Right?
episode, we'll talk about boundaries. That was where my exhaustion came in. But no. It was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot. I mean,
lot.
we're both pretty high energy people.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And to the point where we got at the beginning of December where we were like, we just have to like
And do nothing.
be immobile for a little while.
Yeah, for a good
Watch some Netflix.
good 2 months, like not do anything. And so we're not going to plan till mid-January next year. And I don't feel nervous about it because I think that's the right time to plan. We need to see the state of the world, the state of the economy, and what do people need at that time, because we're here to serve, right? And the reason we're starting this podcast is we get all these questions, so that's why we're like, it's time to serve. So how does it feel? It feels kind of liberating. It doesn't mean we're not going to plan. We're still going to plan, but it's about trusting when does that plan happen. And I think I don't want to plan. I know intuition wise, it's in January, and that right now it's just about resting, and resting gives clarity. Funny thing too, I don't know if you guys all have auras, but I got my year in review. Yeah, I was trying to tell you about it. Get my year in review. And actually, the time that we've been resting right now has been the most restorative, like low stress, high recovery. But actually, the times that were the worst for me was not when we were working 15-hour days, 7 days a week. It was actually in February and March when I was drowning in my fears.
Yeah.
That's when I was low recovery, high stress. So a lot of times we think it's the work, but it's not the work.
Yeah.
It's the mindset. It's our minds.
I agree with that completely.
And my mind was what was causing me that stress. And so even when we were working like crazy, I think because there was a purpose and there was a why, and in service, I had high stress but high recovery. And the recovery is more important. I mean, stress, we shouldn't have lots of stress, but if you had to choose one, having higher recovery, the resilience is more important than the stress. When you got high stress and low recovery, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's where I was at. And so
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot. I'm not surprised that this month then has been restness.
And exactly. And my cortisol's lower. I deflamed. I have energy again. So every time people laugh about stress, about resting, they're like, oh, what are you going to do with yourself? I'm actually like, well, actually a lot. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to do all my medical appointments, de-stress, all those things, because you need that break.
And I think that also you need that
clarity,
that reset, so that you can actually, when you get to the point of being ready to plan, you're doing it from a position of strength. You know what I mean? You're not doing it from panic, from
exactly. And that's what's been really clear, right? Like, as I think about when we talk about fears, you got to get in this clear state to know also what is the idea worth pursuing, right? And I think that's where we're at. That's why we have to wait till January, right? What is it in these rest modes, the thing that popped up? Because we're all downloading 20 ideas a day, right? Not all of them are ones that we should pursue. Not all of them are for right now.
Right.
And so one of the things about the clarity is which is the one that keeps on appearing, and when should I do that, right? And there's 3 that always appear for me, and for you too, I think.
Yeah.
And this was one of them, but we had to wait for the right time.
This podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's go back to the question about fears, right? So one, we weren't always fearless. I guess fearless is not the right word, because you're saying we always have some fear, but I definitely feel fearless. But I think the way we've approached fear is different. Now I take it head on instead of letting it dominate. Yeah, and I think that once you can, what we see in a lot of people we work with is when you let it drown you, and also spend much time consumed it that you make decisions based on fear rather than service. That's when it backfails, like really, really, right?
There's a great book that's called The Gift of Fear.
Oh, that's right. So it is a good book.
It's a really interesting book, and a lot of it is telling you about how the fear response is something that's there to protect you, right? But the whole point is that's good, that's fine, but then that's just data, right? That's data for you that you use, and then you use that to make a decision and move on and move into action. And that's a big part of the next thing, right? You don't just freeze in the fear. You actually have to use it to make a decision that then motivates you into action.
Exactly. And then address where all these fears coming from. And a lot of times we drown. We're like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's like you see the decisions as black and white when there's so much gray. Like maybe it's not, maybe you don't have to leave your job fully. Like maybe it's like, maybe you're deciding right now, should I leave my job? Can't there be a gray? And we've helped a lot of people negotiate grays. Maybe you tell your job, I need more flexibility. You know, if you're at the point where you've given value, can I be a consultant? You know, maybe give me still health insurance, but I want to work not as an employee, consultant, or maybe they don't give you health insurance and they pay you more, whatever it is. And then I have my own flexible schedule. And that's it. Most places, if you give value, cool. Yeah, let's do that, right?
And we've managed to do that, help coach through people through.
Yeah, because sometimes they just want the freedom to also do other projects. Or maybe I want to be part-time. So I don't want to lose my financial safety completely, but I want to pursue other interests. So as a consultant, you can earn a little more. You still give value to the organization. They don't lose you completely. But you have more freedom and flexibility. There's grace. There's grace. Or like you get a job offer and you're like, should I take it? Okay, write down what are the fears around you taking it. Maybe it's like you don't want to be stuck in that job forever. Tell them, hey, how about we have a 6-month trial and see how it's working for me and you. And then we go from there, right? Like there's so much gray. And I think a lot of times when we think about these fears, we put them in like, it's this or this. There's so much to negotiate and there's so many other options that you can take, or I want to go this direction in my business and I don't know if this is the right one or this. Okay, well, maybe you can't take it now. Can you take it later? Or why does it have to be that you eliminate that idea completely? It doesn't. It could be for later.
Yeah.
It could be better timing, right? Like even like we had thought about this podcast, we were going to do it all year because it was supposed to be our smooth year. There was no way working 17-hour days, right? Doesn't mean that there was any failure in it. It just means we had to start it now.
I mean, it would have been cool. We could have done it from like 15 different countries.
There was no way.
There was no way.
No way. We could not be giving to the people and to all of you.
Yeah.
And actually, I think those things have led to different kind of questions that we can now answer, and actually at a much mature state.
That's totally true. No, so like as we said, 2025 has been a long, tough year, but I can't think of any other self-contained 12-month period in my life really where I feel like I've learned so much and I've grown so much and at the same time given so much.
Yeah, no,
you know,
we did a miracle.
We talk a lot about sort of these positive spirals, you know what I mean? And I feel like we really engaged in that this year.
Well, I think somebody told me the best, right? They said we did a miracle. And then I think what I loved as one of our best testimonials, I think, was that we stood at the right side of history and that we stepped up.
Yeah.
We had a choice not to step up.
Yeah.
And we did. And so what advice would you give people?
I mean, I have a couple things. I mean, as we were talking earlier, I meant to sort of break in at some point. But one of the things is, I mean, you and I do this business together. You know what I mean? And there's something we talked about, intuition and the importance of trusting your gut. And part of that is trusting each other, too. You know, so like I know that sometimes you come out with things that seem like crazy ideas, and I know from my life that the best thing that I can do is to say, you know what, let's do it, let's go for it, let's try it. You know what I mean? So part of that fearlessness is knowing that that your intuition is strong, and me believing in your intuition, and you know, riding that through together. And I mean, and we'll talk about relationships at some point, I'm sure, but part of being a good partnership is trusting each other's intuition and supporting each other's vision and things like that. So
yeah.
I think that that's a big piece of it. We see so many people that have been struggling, and they have great ideas and they feel their light is lost. And sometimes it's because they don't feel like they have a voice in their life that is their champion. Their round table. You know what I mean? So that's really important, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's for the next episode. We could talk about roundtable
for sure.
Boundaries. So
for
stay
sure.
tuned
We'll
for that.
We'll definitely talk more about those things. But even in the concept of fear and fearlessness,
True.
you know, it's important that intuition piece is there and that trust piece is there.
Yeah, we had a third person on our team, Alexis.
Yes.
Shout
Alexis!
out. And that was part of that too. We had to trust her.
Yeah.
And she had to trust us.
That was easy. She was awesome.
I know. But I mean, that's part of it, right? But
sure.
we understand we have similar values,
Yeah.
similar things. And that's what's really important. Like, that's why this stuff is not fluff. Because we're so clear on the values, the vision, and the outcome, then attracting the right people to help you is easy. Then the rest becomes easy. That's the thing. Like, people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. But if you don't do that work, then you are like you said, you just start drowning.
Right.
Or you're always like in misalignment. Yeah.
And honestly, really, this whole point of telling the story of our year and everything that we've been through, it's not really to give you like a success story. It's really to give you the understanding, an example of something that can happen to you too, that you can do this too. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing super special about us and what we did other than sort of have these ideas and go with them. You know what I mean? We've spoken to so many people who have these same ideas for themselves, and the best thing that we can do is to help you find that path forward. You know what I mean? So it's not about us necessarily. It's about showing you that I think that there's so many people out there that can be doing these kind of things as well.
Yeah. But I think it's also not just the path forward, it's what's keeping you from taking that path. So
Sure.
I think if I were to answer that question, like, what can I leave you with, is if you have an idea and you really have this urge to serve people in a way, what is it going to take to move that forward? Okay, so like I was just talking to someone last week. They have this great vision for what they want to do. But they're really scared of pushing it forward because they're really worried about it's a little like that it could affect them professionally, like people knowing that they're doing this. So again, this is the gray. Why does it have to be black and white? Do it without your name. All right, like how many people, like there's another person we know that really wants to start a podcast and she's a public figure. And I'm like, just do it without your name. That's what I mean. So like write down the fear. Okay, so if the fear is, I don't want to go after this thing because I'm scared to be my name being associated with it. Plus I want to test it out first. Then do it without your name. Who says? Like I've been on like podcasts where people have the craziest names as hosts and I love it. But then do it without your name.
Yeah.
Until, like, I think there's that poet that, like, right, I forgot, Young Pablo?
Young Pueblo, yeah.
Yeah, Young Pablo. He did it without his name for a long time. I think like a decade, until he was like, okay, I'm ready to come on money. Until you push through that fear. So what is keeping you from starting it? All right. And I think, like, you know, we're in that now too. Like, we have this amazing app that we want to be able to provide coaching worldwide for people. And I can feel that tension inside of going, like, you know, we talk about this, right? I want to fly to New York and pitch it and all these places, right? And there's this thing of like, what's keeping me from doing it now, right? Because I've applied, I haven't gotten money. So, but what can I do now? I can crowdsource, right? I can start talking about it. There's stuff that you can do now, moving it forward, to push against that fear and to get it going. And like, it shouldn't be, if I don't get a VC, I can't do this app. No, there's 100 other paths, right, to make this a reality. Yeah. So I think that's the advice I have. You have this thing you want to start, or even just this thing you want to explore and test, because a lot of times it's testing. Is this the right time? Does this feel in alignment with me? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, whatever. What is keeping me from doing it? And then address that. Like, just put it in. If it's that you don't want to show your face, don't show your face. If you don't want to show your name, don't show your name. If it's that, you need money, well, maybe I do a smaller version with less money to test it out. Whatever it is, there is a way. But if you just park it and don't even try, then you're going to be thinking about that for the next decade, 20, 30 years of your life. So is that a cost you're willing to pay and to take on?
We talk all the time about how children inherit their parents' unrealized dreams. And you got to think about, if I'm not doing this, is this the weight that I'm passing on to my children and future generations, right?
And that's not fair to them and not fair to you. Like, how many of us, I definitely held the weight of, and that's another story another time. But I definitely held that weight.
Stories.
I know, we do. But, and we'll talk about that, but it definitely held the weight of, I mean, I might as well talk about it. I held the weight of my dad not finishing his dissertation. And then I helped him finish it. And it was a wonderful moment. But I think, and it was a great moment for me and for my sister, she helped a lot. But I think that he held on for that, for like, it's more about the pain, like that he held it for 20 years and then I knew about it. And then I was like, I have to do something about it. I cannot carry that for another 50 years of my life. I really can't. And so I had to like release that burden. But all of us have stories like that, you know? And so why are we, man, I even question myself every day when I'm like pushing my son to do acting because he's really good. I'm like, wait, am I pushing it on him because he wants to do it or me? And so you have to always second guess yourself. Like, where's this coming from?
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I mean, he's a clown, so we should be making something off of him.
But, you know, but he also says he wants, so it's hard to read sometime, but we have to examine that. You can do it in your lifetime. It's not too late for you, and it's not something for someone else to inherit. So I'm going to leave you with that.
I have a question for you.
Oh, you still, okay, more.
I have two things. One is, so what do you think of next year? Like what do you want to tell people for next year?
Well, I want them, this is still December, so I think we should, my gut tells me to talk about next year when it's next year.
Okay.
But I think what I can leave you for December is to write down that thing that you want to do, that you've been wanting to do for a long time, the fears associated with it, and what can you do to mitigate that fear? To take one step forward in it, to test it out, to see if this is something you even want to do. Or was this maybe imposed on you, you know? Maybe you don't even like it and it was just an idea. But test it, try it, do something. It's December. I want you to leave that year with that confidence that you at least tried. You know, it could be anything. Try it. Take one step forward with it. Write down that fear. So I think I want people to end that year with that. No regrets. They tested it, that courage, because that is the momentum I want to take you all in January.
I like that. So that's your takeaway for people. Like your homework. Go spend a little time, write it down.
I mean, I think we're going to do the same. So this is part of like, this is, you know, it's a good exercise from our workbook. Do that.
Yeah.
Push through it. Yeah. That's what led to the successful year. And back to the original question.
Correct.
What about you?
Oh, man. For me, I think that anything that you can do to get in touch with your intuition a little bit is going to be really strong for you. So I don't know if we have time right now, but like I think we should in coming episodes talk to people a little bit about breath work. Like do a minute or two of breathing, you know, take some deep, and I don't mean just take deep breaths. Take deep breaths with intention. Like speak to yourself. Speak to your mind, speak to your heart, speak to your soul as you take these breaths. And when you release, I want you to imagine you literally blowing out the weight that you carry, blowing out all of the things that are not yours, blowing out the expectation, and trying to create that place of clarity for yourself so that you can really start to think about not just everything that's happened in this last year, but how you're going to take that, make you stronger, and move that into the future.
And you can do breath work moving while you're in yoga, while you're doing dancing.
I mean, maybe not driving.
Probably
maybe not driving. I mean, so you could take some deep breaths.
You could take some calming breaths.
You could take some calming breaths. Yeah.
But I mean, the breath work that we do, we're laying down for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But there's breaths that you can take.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I mean, I want people.
Well, you want to get people out of fight and flight.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that they can think clearly.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's my hope.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to leave you all with. And then we'll see you next episode.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.